Okay, we're a few minutes late, 10, 15 minutes late, but we'll get started right now. Before we start, normally, and it is the accepted practice that we start with a word of prayer. So I will now call on Pastor Wayne Maynard, and I want to thank you as you come forward, Wayne, for acceding to our request. And can we all stand in the meantime to have a few words from Pastor Wayne?
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you at this time, thanking you for the gift of life, health, and strength. We recognize that every good gift comes from you, and without you, we can do absolutely nothing. And we thank you for this privilege we have to gather here today as citizens and residents of this island that we all love. And we're asking for your presence to be felt here tonight, and that you'll give us wisdom, direction, guidance, and understanding as we seek to put our minds and thoughts together for the development of our country, and specifically as it relates to our airport, dear Lord. I pray that you would bless in every effort, and I pray that you would guide, you would provide resources, and that when it's all said and done, dear Lord, that we'll be able to utilize this facility, dear Lord, for the betterment of our people and for the development of our economy. We thank you again for the liberties that we have and for the many blessings that we have to be here in this part of this world. And I pray that you would be well pleased with everything that takes place. May it be a very productive time, and may you use it for your honor and for your glory and for the good of all of us. Thank you once again for this privilege here today. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you very much. Pleasant good evening to everyone, and I want to welcome one and all to this evening's activity, which is a public consultation on the future development and expansion of the Vance W International Airport. Before I go any further, let me first of all acknowledge the presence of the Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Mark Brantley. I also want to acknowledge the Deputy Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Eric Evelyn, and of course, the Minister of Health, the Honorable Janelle Nisbet. I also want to recognize any other members of Parliament, the Nevis Island Assembly, that is. At the head table, let me recognize, first of all, on my immediate left, Mr. Dennis Kane. He is the architect on the project. And of course, Mr. Leonardo Perez, who is the lead architect on the project, along with Lucy Guerrero, who is also an architect on the project as well. Missing this evening is Mr. Dan Casal. He has been the one who have been communicating with us, working with us directly over the past, I would say about 7 years, thereabout. Well, he would have contracted something strange. When I say strange, he has said that it is not COVID, but it's something that has debilitated him for the time being, but we're hoping to have him here on Nevis at some point. I also want to acknowledge in the audience all who would have come to be a part of this consultation this evening. Residents, citizens, visitors, whomever. All of you do have an interest in this project, I'm sure, in some means. And I want to say welcome to you. And this evening we're hoping to lay out to you what we proposing in terms of the expansion and future development of the Vance W International Airport. Now, I would want to say to you that over the past 7 years thereabout, we have been working on this idea of upgrading the facility. All of us in here would acknowledge that the facility is in a state where obviously it cannot perform the way that we would want it to, obviously because of the lack of a proper runway or the proper length of runway. The facility, of course, the terminal and the likes are in a state of disrepair, and that is something that we can all acknowledge. Indeed, if we are to push the island of Nevis any further than where it is to get to the next level of development, all of us must acknowledge that the Vance W International Airport, one, has outlived its time, and two, cannot provide for us in its current state what we would like to provide to our visitors or nationals or anyone who seek to come to the island of Nevis. That being said, the project that we are laying out this evening, we still have much more to add to it in terms of a final design that we'll bring to the public later on. This evening's meeting, though, is to roll out the project to the island of Nevis and the people of Nevis so that we can garner some responses, of course. We know what we have put on paper, but that is what it is. The project does not belong to the Nevis Island administration or the members of cabinet. It belongs to the entire island of Nevis. Because when it's all said and done, whatever is done at the Vance W International Airport would be done to the benefit of the people of Nevis and the island of Nevis. For a very long time, we have been talking about the lack of airlift. We have been talking about the lack of connectivity. We have been talking about the cost to get to Nevis, and also the fact that many of the aircraft that are destined for Nevis cannot come because the facility is inadequate. And so we have decided as an administration that it is time to do something about this particular facility. I would want to say at this point, we can talk about it every day, we can talk about it every week, every month, and every year. But the time for action is now. And so we are starting the process this evening in terms of laying out what will be involved. And of course, over the next couple of months, we should get to the end of the consultations and of course roll out a design to the Nevisian public. Now, what is envisaged from this project is that we're hoping that with the development to come, we will see an increase in airlift, one. Two, we will see increase in employment, increase in investment, and also we'll also see the opportunity for Nevis to be showcased to the international community, in that the connection to Nevis should be made much easier. We are not seeking to attract the 737s or the 747s or the A320s, if you're familiar with those type of aircrafts. We are seeking to expand based on our limitations at Vance W International Airport. We are seeking to expand to accommodate aircraft such as the Embraer 170 that carries up to 60 plus passengers, and also the Embraer 175, which carries upwards of 70 to 86 passengers, sorry. Additionally, all of the major private jets or business jets should be able to land with some limitations. Some will be able to land without limitations when it's all said and done. We are seeking to accomplish just about 5,500 feet of runway. And when the consultants lay out the project to you, they'll show you exactly what is involved and what would be accommodated accordingly. I am here to say to you that the project, when it's all said and done, should yield a number of employment opportunities. We should see a demand for airline attendants, a demand for aircraft fuelers. We'll also see a demand for air traffic controllers. We'll also see a demand for aircraft maintenance personnel. We'll also see a demand for at least flight operators, also baggage handlers. Indeed, we'll also see an increase in the need to have more taxi operators on the island. If we are seeking to be positive about this particular development, of course, that would be the thrust, and that would be the ethos in terms of ensuring that we can lower the amount of aircraft here in Nevis that we know have been attempting to come but have gone elsewhere because the facility is inadequate. When it's all said and done, I do believe that the Nevisian public would be proud of this particular investment. In terms of cost, we are not standing here this evening and laying out a cost to you because a lot of the features of this project are still being worked on, but we'll have an eventual cost for the Nevisian public, which would be, in my opinion, a manageable cost when it's all said and done. But that being said, we are expected to extend the runway eastwards and westwards to get the 5,500 feet of runway that we are seeking to have. Improve lighting, modern lighting that is, increase or improvement to the apron, the airport apron, and also the construction of a brand new apron as well. We'll see the construction of a brand new fire hall or firefighting facility, along with the appropriate equipment, that is fire tenders. We'll also see the construction of a hangar. And in recent weeks, we've had discussions with with persons who are looking at possibly bringing a flight school here to the island of Nevis. All that we believe will be a part of this development when it's all said and done. Additionally, I did speak about refuelers. We are also seeking to construct a fuel farm, because that is where we believe NASPA would be able to make quite a bit of revenue, or generate quite a bit of revenue. Additionally, we are also seeking to upgrade and expand the parking area, that is the parking lot. There will be also the realignment of the island's main road. As it is currently, that particular stretch of road will no longer be accessible in that. That area would form part of the overall airport facility. So that will be laid out as well when we put those slides up for you. So this is an overall reconstruction, upgrade, refurbishment, and also everything that is necessary to ensure that the airport will meet the necessary international standards and requirements and regulations. And indeed, we do believe that the current state that we are currently operating in will certainly be something to behold when you make the contrast between what is to come and what we currently have. That being said, we solicit the support of the entire Nevisian public. Not everyone would be in agreement with this project, I'm sure, and that is okay. I will say to you, though, that this project, when it's all said and done, if we are all interested in the overall development of the island of Nevis, there must be buy-in from all of us. There are things about the project that I'm sure we'll have discussions about, but when it's all said and done, Nevis cannot get any further than where it is at the current state with that particular facility as it is. Not when we are seeking to push tourism to a level where we can have more hotels, more places to stay, and more visitors to the island. I will say to you here and now that we have lost out on visitors to the island because persons cannot make the direct connection to the island of Nevis. And the data is there to show. And so I will think that we will all be anxious to see what this project holds for the island of Nevis. We are all anxious, I'm sure, to ensure that, anxious to see this project rolled out in a way that will be sustainable and provide that sustainable economic development for the island of Nevis. I do believe that we are on the right track, and I believe that the Nevis Island Administration has put some thought into this, and the Nevis Island Administration will proceed accordingly once we have met all of the particular mandates that are given to us by the planning department and your support, and all of us buying into what we believe would be a major project for the island of Nevis. I want to just close by saying that all of the islands and countries near to us within the sub-region are all seeking to expand and develop their airport facility. Why? That is how the connection is made. That is how you get to the various islands that are near to us. We sit and we watch and we look, and instead of looking, instead of wondering, it is the time to act. And I am here to say that personally I am 100% behind this project. That is why I want to thank the Premier of Nevis and the Cabinet of the island of Nevis for giving me the opportunity to lead on it, because since 2015 I would have contacted the Perez Group. They were working at that time on the Argyle Airport in St. Vincent. Reached out to them and they did not hesitate to come, and they have been coming ever since in terms of lending their support, coming to Nevis and providing the necessary directions that we sought of them. So that being said, I want to say to you, welcome once again. We'll go into the presentation of the project to you at this time. Give us a few minutes to make the necessary connections so that the slideshow can start, and then thereafter, of course, the floor will be open for any comments, queries, or any intervention that you might have at that point in time. So give us just a minute or two to just make this change. In the meantime, so that we have a clear view of the screen, we would ask for the lights to be turned off. Not yet, Zimba. In a few minutes, let the connection be made. No, you said walk. But you got to kill some of the lights on there, right? In the back, so that yeah. Okay, so I'll now introduce to the microphones Mr. Leonardo Perez. He is the lead engineer, and he would explain the slides as they go.
Well, it's okay. Good evening, everybody. Mr. Premier. Thank you, Mr. Jeffer. Today, my mission is to present you our scope of the work. But let's first to present with me is Dennis Kane, that is the architect of the associate company, The Arc. He is Canadian. Lucy is my wife. and economical, attend the legal and economical question of the company, of the association of the company. And today, we present this, we try to present the scope of the work in the Vance Amory International Airport. Not the first time we are in Nevis. We were, before the pandemic, we were here and did the development work some months. And it is the base that we're planning now. It is the second step to achieve the design that we start now. Okay.
You can see in the back, or can you see clearly?
You can read?
I was thinking some of the lights might have to be taken off.
Okay. It is the introduction for first introduction, aviation development activity, the airside system, the landside system that explained Dennis, and airport development approach and environment study. Sorry for my English. I have Spanish language, and sometimes some difficult I confront. Okay. I don't know it, but let's see. I don't want you to be tired. We present in different places. The presentation is about the history, about the geography of the Nevis that you know better than me. And then it is our introduction, yes. Okay. It is here, I try to explain our goal, the main goal identified for development of the Vance Emory. It's possible to take. Yeah. Okay. It is the main goal that identified for development of the Vance Emory International Airport. First is extend the range of direct operation from Nevis, the origin and destination covering the Caribbean, including North and Central America. It is the main the extent of the runway for the two extremes of the runway. The two extremes we expand to achieve the different aircraft bigger than this that operate now can operate. Our aircraft calculation is the family of Embraer 175. That is regional aircraft, and from here you can fly the distance, New York, Miami, Panama, Mexico, might be some of them with a skull. But the other task is the renewal, strengthening, and expanding the airfield element according to ICAO regulation to accommodate the operation of the aircraft families commonly used in the region for the mainland line, like Caribbean, an American U.S. company. It is very important because the ICAO regulation, you know, all the country after the Second War, all the country, more or less, signed the agreement for the civil aviation. And all standard that used around the world is the ICAO standard and normative. And Federal Aviation Administration of the United States, they is the authority too for construction and design about Annex 14 and more than 10 manuals for design. We need to respect about this standard. Elimination of source restriction that determine limitation to the operation. You know that in the area is a big obstruction that is Hurricane Hill. The Hurricane Hill really is the obstruction for the operation. Do you here not possible to use all the runway because for this obstruction? But when you expand the runway, you have a possibility to landing other aircraft bigger than they operate now. I know that one of to develop the private aviation, the general aviation, is one of the objects, the main task that we have here. No, their design. Looking for all that, not only commercial, private, general aviation, we will develop in the design. Okay. Improve and adequate the air traffic equipment and system. It is now, you know, that visual approximation is the category of the airport now. And after that start to operate the other aircraft here, made to change with addition for some instrument, the operation that instrument operation. It is more security, more, but now we continue for this type of approximation. The other one is the install a proper runway lighting system and other visual at height. Okay, it is visual at height that we need to expand to for the operation. Improving an expansion of the parking capacity and taxiway access. It is very important. Listen, now, it is technical question, but if you parking in the actual situation, aircraft, in the actually parking area, it is obstacle for the other operation than landing. The height of this plane, this commercial plane, it is problem for the security of the airport. It's a standard. It's a standard. Some airport don't respect about the standard, but we here planning the new area for platform. Platform area, let's see, you left for the actual terminal building, we expand the platform in this area. For general aviation, for commercial aviation, for private aviation, and might be a school. Okay, the other one is the develop the private general aviation and cargo operation too, with adequate space. You know that the restriction that now is for cargo here. You need maybe more expand this activity that is very important. Demolish the existing firefighting building and build a new one properly located. Dennis explained better than me. He's Canadian about that. Develop the general aviation system into a fixed base operation, FBO. In my opinion, sincerely, Nevis do have a good condition for the private aviation and FBO terminal with better condition for the VIP passenger. You know, the passenger, the owner of the aircraft that come here need different attention, need more attention, need to park in the aircraft in hangar. We're planning all that. We're planning the space for develop all this problem, to resolve all this problem here. Okay. Develop a required fuel fund for service the referent aircraft. Jeffrey talked about that. It's the new area. Because you need to plan in the fuel for the airport and expand the capacity of the fuel, reserve for the fuel, different type of the fuel. It is that we need to develop here. Make the proposed investment environmental and sustainable, taking into account appropriate measures to mitigate the negative effect of construction. Let's see. Let me try to explain that the environment for us is very important. I don't want when Perez Engineering and the AR go and Nevis, somebody tell, oh, they destroy the environment. No. We with the people that attend here, this activity to the environment, we're planning to discuss, to agree the measure, but really, how affect the aviation, the environment? Two questions. The noise and the pollution. The pollution of the fuel. Now, ICAO and the world investigate for new fuel for the aircraft. But noise is affect the airport. But during the construction of the airport, more question affect the population. For example, the pollution of the air, the noise too, the equipment, and we need to planning with the environmental, the people here that don't affected for the construction of the airport. Nevis is the queen of the Caribbean island, and we try do environment to conserve this beautiful island and not destroy. It is the question that we, and we in front is the sea. The sea, you have a question to resolve in the wetland. Wetland is the name. Wetland. You know? In the wetland is true that we need to prepare mitigation of the effect of the expansion of the airport and the effect of the construction of the airport too. You be quiet that we have all the specialists, not only architects, not only engineers, not only economists and legal. We have especially for environment, for fuel, for communication system, and for all that to prepare this airport as a really security, for security and for develop in the future of the airport. Safety operation, okay, with appropriate study of the land use and the establishment of tackle limit surface established by the ICAO standard. All the airports around the world need to study surface or limitation. It is imaginary slope that do restriction for the obstacle. Hurricane Hill is obstacle. How many meters Hurricane Hill go inside of the obstacle when the aircraft come? Okay, we can study not only that. The people normally prepare a master plan for the development for the airport for 30 years, 35 years. It's okay. But now we prepare too the question for limitation of obstacle that the operation need, the pilot need that, and to prepare it all with the ICAO standard. It's okay. Okay, it is history too. What is NASPA? What? Remember that this presentation is for other people, not for people that know about the geography and history. I don't. Okay, it is the detail that you have now in this airport. You look, this is threshold of the runway. When the aircraft come, he don't landing here. He need to come here and landing, and the space is limited for landing. For takeoff, okay. The airplane come here, and here take off and have more space, but not sufficient to. Not sufficient for Embraer. If you want to operate Embraer, okay. For takeoff, they come in here, and with extension, they fuel full with fuel with passenger, cargo, or then need more space for that. And then the characteristic now is for that the expansion is in this direction, and in this direction more. This extension coming now with 5,500 feet go close to this hotel. Nevis Plantation. Wonderful. The house of Nelson. Yeah. Everybody around the world knows that Nelson lived here. And this is the first stage. But the second stage may do extend to 6,500. But this is the next step for the expansion of the airport. And it elevates the category, and then you can do other aircraft, Boeing, A320, you can operate here. Okay, it is the characteristic. I don't explain all because it's a detail that we use for the, and it's description of the area. What is the area in this? It is important for us for planning the development. It is the characteristic of the runway now. Two taxiway that need reconstruction and need to expand for the Embraer, a little expand in white, but not serious. It is possible. This platform, you look, not space sufficient. The space now for expand is in this side, not close to the runway as here, far out of the runway. A space we have. You have a space in this area to develop the commercial aviation, the private aviation, the general aviation, and more aircraft. We're planning how many planes we can do parking. More than 50 might be the biggest small plane. We look for expand sufficient for that. The apron is the same. The content of the current design will analyze the parking of the new family of aircraft and the measure to be taken so that they do not constitute an obstacle for operation. I explained before about that something. The design studies the relation between all elements of the airport, including the existing building, and consider the obstacle limitation survey applied in order to maintain high safety for air operation as considered in Annex 14 of the ICAO. Of course, you planning bigger plane, you need planning. The terminal, it's a small this terminal, you need to expand. I don't know it now, in the future, but all this is balanced. You get a bigger plane, you need more space for attend the people, for develop. Okay, the trains. One of the problems that we will analysis in detail is the train. Why? Now, for example, with this last bad weather, the rain, the hurricane, the past here, every day I will do observe what. Now, the function is correctly. The water flow, no problem now. But when we expand the runway, we need to the study all the area, all where the flow the water down. I remember in Argyle, you know what happened in Argyle? Was necessary to cross a river, Jambu River, to cross below of the runway. Was aware that $5 million US was the price of this drains for the river. But now we not consider that it's too expensive. Only in the end of the 28, the end of the runway, you have some channel, paleocause, this cause that occurs when the water room, I look that the water flow strong. Maybe we need to rerouting with channel this with channel do go far the water or the airport. The erosion is evident. Why? The depth of the coast near the airport is significant from a preliminary point of view. Bathymetric and tidal study will be required for the elaboration of the plan. Why the tidal and the bathymetric study? Because some part, a small part, no the bigger area now. In the future, when you expand the airport and the category of the airport go up, then it's necessary to fill some area, but not the scope now of the work. Now it's okay for this stage of development. Obstacle limitation. Yeah, I prepared this. It is the Hurricane Hill. It is the area that the pilot you need to be free of the obstacle. And Hurricane Hill, of course, enter in the surface, limitation surface. But not only that is a limitation. You have here limitation too. It's imaginary a slope that do the restriction of but the main obstacle is the Hurricane Hill. That we now not the object to cut the Hurricane Hill. It is costly. It's not necessary for now for this state. But in the future, of course, when we expand more the airport, the Hurricane Hill needs not all, but to study the restriction of that. Okay, it is the current roadway, 1,025 meters. It is 4,000 feet. Its extension, prepare now the runway to extend. Do 1,675 meters. It is more or less 5,500 feet. Will allow the incorporation of large family of aircraft. The family of the Embraer. The family of the Embraer with the section to Embraer 195. That is very big for them. But this one is the last aircraft that Brazilian push to the market. And everywhere in the United States, in Europe it's popular now. The people buy this, a lot of this aircraft. And it's regional aircraft. It's regional is ATR too. ATR 40, ATR 72. That with this expansion can operate here. Okay. Okay, more detail. It's not possible now, the conference for that, but it is very important. What happened here? Huh? They cross and move. Okay. This declared distance for our work, technical work, is very important. Because with the expansion, we consider that the aircraft that fulfill the requirement for that can operate here. And it is takeoff. It is for takeoff, distance for takeoff, and distance for landing. Distance for landing too. And you can come here maybe for the landing or aircraft sometime. It's necessary to look the way. It come far. Don't need a lot expansion for that. Can operate in the runway. But it's full with weight. It's okay. But this distance for our work here, I show because in this discussion that now for expansion, we need to determine all the family of aircraft that possibly to operate with this distance for takeoff, for landing, for in case the acceleration stop distant space that need for do the speed and not possible to elevate to take off. They come, run, and stop in safety condition. This distance is very important. Now the architect permit me he continued now to explain about the building. And sorry for my English. My English is bad. And long time I stopped to speak, and now I started. No problem. Next time, I promise that better pronunciation will have.
Hello. The existing terminal as it stands won't be able to handle the increased capacity. What we're attempting to do is to use the shell that's there now and try to fit everything into it in a reconfigured form. There's a couple of areas that we would like to expand to. We're going to try to get underneath the existing roof on both ends of the terminal to increase the bag room and increase the cargo arrivals. We'll make an attempt to stay under the roof, but we don't know yet. But definitely with the increase in capacity because of the bigger planes, the departures and arrivals will have to change because you can't get 80 people in there and with 80 people, 100 people coming. So those are the areas that we have to look at. I don't think that we have to change the entrance area, this canopied. And the looks like the ticket counters and that are going to work just as they are, but we'll upgrade them to be not quite so high. I can't even see over them. And try to renovate that area as it is. Then the bags, when they leave, they'll hopefully be expanded into the other part of the roof overhang. And the same for the other way. We're not sure that the cargo works coming in the other way. It doesn't work now. So we're going to try first to put it under the roof, but we don't think that's going to work. But that'll be our first stab. So I think what I'm trying to think about now after seeing the terminal is to try to keep all the infrastructure there, upgrade the colors to something more modern, but that's just paint, and a little bit of tile work. And I think that the whole ticket area is fine, just with trying to accent certain areas where we don't have to renovate the whole terminal, try to stay within the budget. And as I said previously, the departures, lounges, and the arrival needs to go. Because the facilities there, they won't handle the extra people. We looked at one of the washrooms, and it's got a kitchen counter with a toilet in one end and a small sink. That's not good enough for the extra people. At times, you'll have 150 people in there, and it's not going to work as it is. So trying to stay within budget and work within the existing shell, most of the plans that I've been talking about with Danielle is leaving the ticket counters. We have to make new ones, upgrading the area, bit of new tile, painting, and try to accent certain areas and not others, and just generally bring it up to what everybody's seeing in an airport today. And I think it's important to try to do this area. When you walk in, you see it first, and to try to focus people on certain things rather than doing the whole departures area. And that's my main focus, is trying to stay within the budget, clean it up, make your eye go to the things that we want them to go to. And the budget is the driving thing on this renovation for the terminal. And right now, it's not going to handle the increased capacity, so we have to do something with it. And that includes both expansions on both ends and, of course, the arrivals and departures. The control tower. The control tower doesn't look very good. The instructions were to make it look good without spending too much money. So I want to check on the exact size of it when I'm here today and try to come up with some schemes for everyone to look at, leaving the existing structure the way it is. And there is some renovation to do according to the plans here. The railings have rust on them. I don't know if you did them in galvanized metal, not likely, so just bare steel is going to rust. If they can be cleaned and powder coated, that would be a good way to leave them in place. And if they can't, we should probably go to galvanized railings. That's what we did in the Ottawa airport. Everything there's been there for 24 years. And I had a quick look at the exit stairs, emergency stairs, all galvanized. They're just perfect. Oh, the fire hall. We need a new fire hall for sure. I have some plans here. They're just very preliminary and they're going to be for comment only. These plans are based on the wish list. The last time I was here, they want 3 offices, they want training room, meeting room, and 2 small washrooms. The building code won't allow us to have 2 small washrooms because this building everything has to be accessible now, and the rationalization for that is we know that no one's going to be upstairs on a 2-story building that's handicapped, and they understand that, but then the rationale for having the handicap is downstairs. What if the fire marshal, what if a secretary or whatever's in there had broke her leg and she can't go to work? That's the rationale for having the washroom. Currently, they want a 2-story facility. This creates some additional problems. Although this works, you'll see that here is a circulation stair, and that's just there for convenience. They've asked for 7 men, 3 women, 7, 3. Because it's only 3 women, they have their own toilets and 1 shower, and a small lunchroom. Unfortunately, I need an exit. The men, on the current way they're building them, I've given them walls, and I give them a bed, a small table, and a locker. They're finding that having a room like this, they get better sleep, and I don't have to build a locker room. If I did that, I'd have to take all the lockers, put them in a room, put a bench, and you don't need that when they're in the room. And if I take the locker out of the room, I'm not gaining any different space, because when you get out of bed, you need a couple of feet to get up anyway. So, I'll go back to the other slide. This is kind of important. I bought the new 2024 International Building Code. It's out now, even though it's called 24. To do this is okay, and if I have under 20 people, I only need 1 exit. So for now, the other direction. They look the same because I left them the same. Can you go back 2 slides? Back 2. This is more. The other floor plan. No, you got to go back to this 2-story building, 2nd floor. I can verbalize it, but I want you to see it. Next, more, right there. Okay, so this has less than 20 people. It's easy because I have the 7 and 3, and that's what they're going to count. Because if you're not in here, you're here, or you're downstairs. So this is the 1 dedicated exit. So I have to take up some space, build this extra set of stairs on the outside. And in the building code, in order to do that, I have to sprinkler the entire building. So the cost of sprinklering the building is going to be extensive. Then I have to rate this floor from underneath. And the IBC says 2 hours, which is a big deal because 1 hour is 2 layers of drywall. So this mounts up. And then I have that stair and this stair. And there are issues with the fire pole when you have it near these sleeping quarters. So what I did was put the fire pole on the outside of this. So this area here goes into here. Any fumes that come up from this, because if it's inside, the doors don't shut tight. So I put it on the outside so it doesn't matter. Now, this is going to drop down to the floor below, but we need this exit. I have to fume seal, it just weather seal all these doors here so the fumes don't get in from whatever we're doing in here. So that's one of the drawbacks. The biggest drawback is the sprinkling of the entire building to do the one exit. And then once you're upstairs, you're confined with exits because you're up on the second floor. So how do I get them down? On the front? I can't do it there. I can do it on the back, and then I got to do something here. And they have to be half the diagonal of the floor apart. This is the travel distance. I'm allowed about 82 feet, maybe 100 feet in the IBC, but if I follow the travel distance, and the travel distance is how people get out, I put the door here, although I can get it to there. It makes no difference how long the corridor is, but this has to be taken out to get to here. So the major issue with this is the exiting and all the fire rating we have to do. We have to fire rate this assembly, and this is boring stuff, but I have to do it. Fire rate this industrial occupancy or hazard in the IBC. This area here, red, is fire rating line, and the fire rating has to go through here. We have to separate the two occupancies, and not only that, this will probably have to be 2 hours, and the floor has to be 2 hours, which I have to go to the code to see what 1 hour is 2-layer drywall. Okay, so that's the 2-story building, pluses and minuses. The next. This is the 2-story building, a simple elevation. It's not designed, it's just to show you the volume. So when you look at front ways, you see the 2 fire trucks, the doors. This is the watch window, access door for the trucks, access door for the administration area. Okay, side view, administration has some windows. The bedroom upstairs has some windows. I'm thinking high-level windows. Let some daylight in. This is a meeting room. And this is on this floor, this is the kitchen. And of course, this is the gym at the back. And this side, where you turn the corner and come this way, this is the stairway. This is the stairway. This is the gym. Window in the men's area, window in the men's washroom. And I didn't do anything else. I just wanted to show you how big the building is if we do this. Then the other side of the building, all they did was try to bring some light in for the service bays and an exit door. This is a schematic section of what you would see inside. The doors, the circulation stair. It gives me an idea of the levels. The one thing that I would like to do on any sketch, because this is a high building, whatever we have back here for workshops and whatever they need, I want to use upstairs because they don't need this whole height. And I would like to see the mechanical in particular and any service rooms go upstairs. If we have them up here and need to air condition the living quarters behind, we just go through here. If we have to air condition the bottom, we go through here because it's this is the ceiling line, the floor is up here. So we can just go through and do it. It's really easy, and it's a good place to put it, and it gets it off the floor in a place you can't use. Okay. No, back. That's the other one, Lucy, the one-story plan. Back. You got to go back. No? You can't? Ah. That's the important one. Okay, I can verbalize it, but you won't be able to see it. Currently, what's going on with new fire stations, they're going to a one-story. They're getting rid of the pole. Some people are upset because it's so iconic, but they think it's quicker to run from the bedroom flat out the door to get to the trucks than come down a pole. They call that a bottleneck. I can't confirm. I've never been down a pole, so I don't know, but that's what they're saying. And what that alleviates is any roof on a one-story building does not have to be rated. So we can just paint the steel. We save some money. Then exiting is not a problem because we're on the ground. We can put a door wherever we need it. So we can get rid of the circulation stairs. We can get rid of the 2 exits that we're going to have to put in. If you don't put 2, we have to sprinkler the whole building and keep 1. So 2 stories is an expensive option. And if you were, as they say, in an urban neighborhood downtown and you don't have the space, 2-story you have to do. But if you do have the space, don't do 2-story, do a 1-story. So the slide that you can't see is a 1-story slide. All I did was take the existing ground floor, the way it was, and I added the 2nd floor beyond. So everything from the hazard side, the industrial side and the office side, go into a corridor that runs through the building. All the travel distances are small. All I need is that. I need 2 rated corridors, probably at 1 hour, which is nothing. And then when they hit that corridor, they can go 2 different directions. And 1 wall had to be rated anyways because I'm separating the occupancies. The big savings is on not rating the underside of a 2nd floor, not having to sprinkler the building. This roof on a 1-story building, we just paint it. That's how far I got. I was, the last time I was here, I got the wish list. Everything in here is the wish list, except I added 2 janitor closets, 1 upstairs, 1 downstairs, because if they spill something in the bays, they can run over and get it. The janitor closet typically feeds the washrooms and kitchen with the paper towels and that. And of course, upstairs, you can't carry a bucket upstairs. I put another one there. And I added a laundry facility because I don't know if the guys would take their bed sheets and all that home. And I did that on both. Now that's all their wish list plus the janitor and plus the washing facilities. And no one's seen it yet. So I have to review with them their comments on the 2 plans. And that's all I could do to date because I had what they wanted. This time here, I would like to go out and measure the control tower and come up with something that's really inexpensive but looks good. So we don't have to spend too much money on that. And that's what I've done to date, and I got my hit list of things there, all the things that I did do, and the pluses and minuses of the fire station. Okay. That's it for the architecture till now. I would just like to say one thing though. The trying to keep it to meet within the budget. I'm trying to clean the terminal up, modernize it. I'd like to do it with very simple colors so that when you walk in it's calming. Anything that you want to do in the island, I'd like to do that with banners, flags, murals only, not incorporated into the structure because it's too hard to change afterwards. And that way you can make changes as you go. And then I think that would be a big cost savings. I think I make the ticket counters look really good just by having your eyes focus on certain things and not changing too much. And then the rest, Danielle, who is not here, is the airport master planner. He's going to lay out how we get into the building when you arrive and how you get out, the departures, and the bags and the conveyor belts, because right now the conveyor belts are all little pieces and they all should be one. You pick the ticket, you put your bag on, and it goes back. So we've talked about it, but I don't have any drawings yet. We have somebody in Ottawa, of course, taking all the plans that I got from the airport authority, and they're older plans. I've digitized them into PDF files. What we do is start drawing them in AutoCAD over top, because I don't have any way to go, and then we'll blow them up to scale. And that's down the road. So maybe, no, not next time, but the time after probably I'll get that far. Have some base drawings. That's all I can think of for architecture, unless you have any questions. Okay?
It is the Embraer 175. Okay. From analysis of this study, there is a group of short and medium range commercial and executive aircraft with potential to operate in the Vance Amory Airport, which will have a length on runway 1,675 meters. Among them are some aircraft of the Embraer and ATR family, which currently operate in the Caribbean Antilles region. We will use the ARG 175 as a calculation aircraft for practical design purpose. This aircraft will adjust their operation to the declared distance that are reached with the planned expansion and the destination they intend to reach. As that I explained before about the declared distance, it is basic information that we have for this plane. It is important maximum takeoff weight. Look, what happened that maximum takeoff weight sometimes don't use all this possibility for takeoff. The airport might be less. Interior configuration, target of fin length, maximum takeoff weight. It is about the weight. Pass. It is a characteristic of the aircraft. Looking at the height here is 9 meters high. We consider that for obstacle. You need to separate this aircraft of the operation of the runway. The surface of limitation for obstacle don't affect the height of the. Is not bigger airplane. This is only 30 meters wing span. It's we can consider the parking 2 of them in the function. No more because when you planning for 3 or 4, okay, the terminal needs the biggest space too, and then we consider 2. One might be need maintenance, might be broken. I don't know. Affected the aircraft, and other can come. It's possible to parking too. It is the area that we consider for that plane. And the destiny that can achieve from here. For example, Montreal Consultation is good. Toronto, 3,340 kilometers. New York, Carolina, Atlanta, Miami, Mexico, Panama, Colombia. All this distance come achieved from here. Caracas, Trinidad, Tobago, Barbados, San Vincent and the Grenadines is close. Antigua and Barbuda. Jeffer, 112. Puerto Rico and Havana. It is, of course, it depends. It might be for Toronto. Might be for Toronto. Need technical skill. Might be in Caicos and tour and Caicos and continue for refueling an area, but that possibly do more passenger here, less fuel here. All this variant is operational analysis of the plane. Similar for other. This aircraft is for calculation. It's for calculation object. Not is for dimension for the taxiway, for parking, the area that you need to consider, but not mean that other aircraft not possible to operate here. Airbus, okay, A220 can operate too, from charter, but of course need analysis for the operation. How many fuel, how many passengers, all this detail. Okay, pass. This animation, look here, you can, well, expansion, this shadowed area is the expansion. This shadowed area here is the expansion too. Look where it is the Nevis plantation. It is the wet area, it's the wet area too here. And look that, the expansion of the, we don't need the strip of the runway. It's good, 80 meters for this category of the airport. We don't touch that now. It is okay. Of course, we need to, the pavement, the asphalt pavement, we need reinforce the asphalt to be strength for this operation. That is heavy. And the limitation of the approach today reduces the operational capacity of the airport. The future expansion forces the development of new parking area for commercial, private, and general aviation aircraft. Sufficient space is available for this purpose to the west of the current airport here, where the construction of hangar and facility for the processing of big passenger will also be associated. It is the here looking well. This here we enter with the safety in the strip, a shore area into the sea. Here, we need reconstruction of this area too. This area too need a lot, but basically don't affect too much area. I remember when we studied last time the operation for the Boeing 737. We expand the runway here and cut the Hurricane Hill, but of course it's costly. I know that is second stage of the world. Now it is our scope of the work. Okay, next. No, I don't explain all that because it's late and you tired to hear me.
Are we going to have a question and answer?
Yeah. Jeffer?
Yeah, we're gonna. Okay.
Because I have some questions.
No.
What it is, it says an extensive presentation. What we'll do, we'll make this package available for the Nivision public. So you yourself can sit at home and go through it step by step. And we understand the limitations with the language, but these guys have worked on Argyle Airport, and you see what have been produced there. So we are getting the best. But as I said from day one, that Daniel Casal, who has been the one who had been working with us and dialoguing with us, took ill. Of course, he couldn't be here, but that's okay. The presentation had to go on anyway because that this evening was planned already. That being said, we'll make the presentation available to the Nevis public, and we'll discuss that accordingly as to how it will be disseminated. But I believe we can skip all this, Lucy. I think what we're getting into things of an environmental nature, and we'll also have another, public consultation regarding the EIA as we go along. So here's what we'll do. It's 7:30 now, just about. We'll close off the presentation here and, of course, accept comments, questions, and the like from the general public. So I'll get this microphone available to you. And Zimba, you have another microphone? Okay. So what we'll do, we'll try our best. At least you have heard the presentation from Leonardo. You understand the limitation he has in terms of the language. He can present to you in Spanish if you'd like, but we understand we're in an English-speaking forum. So I myself will try and answer any questions that are posed because I've been exposed to the project from day one. So any questions that are raised, if they are unable to communicate accordingly, I'll be more than happy to do so. So there's a microphone that is going to go around. This is on? No. Okay. Oh, Zimba is making a stand available in the middle of the aisle. No, back some more. Well, you don't have to come all the way. Yeah, okay. So, of course, we'll open the floor for questions. Let us be respectable. You can state your name if you so desire, and we'll take it from there.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, my name is Doris Clark, and I came to this meeting tonight because where I come from, on a small island off the coast of Massachusetts, they've done very similar things, and they increased their runway to 5,500 feet. And basically, I grew up in airports. I used to fly for United Airlines as a flight attendant, and I flew for 26 years. And I have to say, I came here looking for something else. What I would have liked to have had would be a copy of those slides so that I could follow along with you folks, because a lot of the questions that I have were answered on some of those slides that, by the way, we couldn't read very well. And I have to say, this was painful, and you need somebody who is going to be able to present your vision, because I'm with you. I mean, I've seen this happen on our small airport, and the amount of traffic that it's brought in and the amount of tourists that it has brought in, because we too have a tourist community. And I was really excited to come here tonight because I did want to, I wrote out a bunch of questions, and the slides would have answered it. And if you had handed out the slides in the beginning, then we could have gone through and asked, pertinent questions. But from the presentation, I did not get that. I did not get the answers that I was looking for. But I am so excited that this Nevis Airport is going to be utilized, because just like the airport where I lived, it was underutilized until we had a group of people like this that came in and revolutionized our life, revolutionized our airport. So thank you for that, and I want to know more. But thank you.
Well, thank you very much, and we appreciate your presence this evening. And I would like to say at this point in time that I myself thought about, postponing the event this evening, because, of course, I understand what we would have had to present here. I know it has been a difficult task for, Leo to present, and I know the difficulty you have had. And that is what I want to apologize about. But here's the thing. As I said, the slides or the presentation will be available for all of you to have access to personally. Well, we'll make that announcement. I'll work with the NIA and they'll get the right medium through it. It can be disseminated. Part of the difficulty of having this prior to come in here is because, as far as I'm concerned, they're the ones who are presenting, and I wanted to come and present it and then make it available. It could have been done the other way around. It could have been done the other way around, but that is what they would have preferred, and that is why we did it this way this evening. But it doesn't mean that we are far off from where we want to be, because you'll have it available and we'll have many more town hall meetings. By then, Dan Casal, who is the one that we lean on, and the team would lead on, hopefully he will be well enough to travel and come, and we'll be in all of the parishes after this evening. So we'll have other presentations.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Yes.
Alistair with Westbury. I got just about 4 questions. Looking at this plan, I see going to the west, you have 500 feet of additional runway, and then I'm just judging it's an additional 200 feet going back. Does that mean you're not going to have lead-in lights?
Well,
Don't you have to go back further than that for the lead-in lights for the aircraft at night?
Well, the extension that will be done, the lights will be embedded in the runway itself, that lead-in portion that goes towards the ocean.
They don't have them at different heights to give the angle of descent?
Well, it's not necessarily different heights. They have to be seen, and that is the important thing. They have to be seen.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I just noticed that they have like rows of them elevated off the ground at different heights. I think it's to give the planes approaching the angle of descent. But I'm not an expert on aircraft.
Well, Alistair, as I indicated before, if I may, Alistair.
I'm just my
right.
question. So that little 200 feet going back beyond the end of the runway is enough. That's all I'm asking.
Well, we're still tweaking as we go.
Okay.
But as you're looking at the picture there in front of you, that takes you to the edge of the ocean edge, that is, yeah? That takes you to the ocean edge. Just about almost 400, we probably end up with 500 feet in that direction.
Okay. But it shows some fill going out into the ocean.
Yes, yes.
All right. Quick question. You completed all the land purchases around the airport?
No, we have gotten back quite a substantial amount of acceptance letters. You probably would say that you haven't heard from us, right?
No, I didn't say that. You said that. Okay.
You don't worry. You're an easy person to work with, I'm sure.
All right. Then I have another question. Especially when things go out into the ocean. It has a tendency to change the currents, deflect sand, and therefore my concern is that the replenishing of sand on Lovers Beach will cease. So the possible negative impacts to the west of the runway, what are the plans for compensation to any negatively impact property owners going that way?
Well, the EIA study that is being undertaken, and you would have heard that there will be a bathymetric study being done, and all that will be done, and then that will be a subsequent town hall meeting, a subsequent public.
I'm only interested in compensation.
Right, I realize. But when we discuss further, we'll say exactly where we go with respect to.
Well, I hope there's a fund put aside for possible compensation in the future.
Well, I leave that. That is why I say in the future we'll have a future conversation, Alistair.
Okay.
Yeah?
All right.
I know you support it as well, too, just like you did the Holy Water Taxi facility. Thank you. Good evening.
My name is Honorable Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge. I'm also a development consultant here on Nevis. I have a few questions. One, just wondering whether or not a feasibility study was done to determine that what is being proposed is actually the best option for this airport here in Nevis. The second question, based on the question that was just asked by Mr. Yarwood and the attempted response provided by the advisor, the question is asked whether or not NASPA is playing a role and who are the consultants advising. Is it NASPA or the NIA? Third question has to do with the scope of work that is being undertaken by the consultants and what are the expected deliverables or outcome from this phase of work? And is it possible to indicate what would be the outcome at the various phases or various stages of the project until we have what is envisioned by you but not necessarily presented to the public at this time? The last question I have has to do with the proposed expansion of the airport. It would have been useful to understand exactly what impact is going to happen in the area of Hurricane Hill and Lovers Beach, and also with regard to the fishers who occupy an area there. I think based on discussion with a number of constituents in the area, at this early time before the design gets to be well advanced, persons are interested in knowing whether or not their properties would be impacted. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And I believe some questions were asked and mixed up with some other questions, but let me start from the bottom up. In terms of the fisher folks in the area, we don't have any intention of moving the fisher folks from where they are. So that landing site that currently exists there in Newcastle will remain. What will happen is that you'll have access to it from either the top or the bottom of the runway. I did indicate from the get-go that the island's main road will be diverted. So part of the diversion is that we'll have an access road at the back or the western end of the runway that connects to that same road that goes up beyond Drift and up to Newcastle Bay Marina. Some revetment work will be done somewhere there. There's a drainage area just in the vicinity of the old pier so that the road will continue beyond. So that would be one access, and then from the top, the eastern end, there'll be access back to the landing site. So the livelihood of those fishermen will not be impacted, just that they would have, instead of walking as they do now in the vicinity of Sausage and the end of the eastern end of the runway, they'll now access either way. Yeah? So that is for the fishermen, they'll remain. In terms of the feasibility study, we have looked at some options that were presented to us by the Perez team. There are a couple of options that were presented, and we looked at them and determined that what we are planning on doing is the most suitable way forward for the expansion process. And I believe you have asked about feasibility study. You're looking at the economics, I'm sure. You're looking at what can unfold from that. I would think that it's a no-brainer in a sense when it comes to that, based on what they have done in terms of the initial objectives that we were seeking to accomplish based on their studies. So there was some work done in that regard, and we have looked at it, and as a matter of fact, it can be simply put this way. If the airport doesn't expand, any residual return or any return from the airport won't happen. It's not happening now, but we are certain that with any expansion and upgrade, there will be returns, revenue, work, and all of the other things that flow from such expansion. So the feasibility study, I believe, based on the objectives that were outlined to our consultants and the discussions we've had that have determined, give us at least some idea as to where we're going and what we can realize. In terms of deliverables as you go along, yes, of course, there'll be deliverables. During the construction phase, we'll always have return to all those who will be involved in the overall construction and upgrade of the airport. All of the truck owners, those are deliverables. They will be able to make monies. Operators of backhoes, trucks, and the likes, all of that. Those who are involved in any technical aspect, for example, surveyors, whomever, all those are deliverables out of this project. And I don't know if there's any way one can quantify it in terms of numbers per se, but I do believe that it is one that can realize substantial return to the island of Nevis. In terms of Hurricane Hill, we have already looked at the Hurricane Hill scenario in terms of the removal of Hurricane Hill. And based on the preliminary cost that we were looking at, it was in the region of about $10 million to take it all down to the level where it should come, so that that obstruction is removed. And based on that, it was just the budget that we have working with. So we figured that in the overall scope of things, there will be a master plan in place that will guide us into the future, so that we can say whatever amount of years from now we can revisit and say whether it is a good thing to do at that point in time, or whether it's something that will never happen. But it is an overwhelming task to bring that hill down, and to actually the cost associated with it at this point in time is one that we're not in a position to undertake. You asked something else. I think you asked about the usefulness of the expansion. Am I correct? The usefulness of the expansion or something of that sort?
I did not ask, and the question really is, in what capacity are you responding to these questions? The question remains, the NASPA technocrats, is there a reason why they are not involved in this presentation at this
Well,
time?
NASPA has been involved all steps of the way in terms of consulting with the consultants, consulting with them, having discussions, providing data that was needed for them to come up with this presentation. And of course, I will say this, moving forward, there will be a team that is put together by the NIA to oversee the overall construction phase of the project. I was tasked with the responsibility of bringing all the pieces together, which is what my task has been. But in terms of where we go from here, there'll be a team that will work along with the consultants. It would include NASPA, it would include planning, it would include persons from the tourism, the Ministry of Tourism. It would include, we'll also have as well a communication person along with the team, so that information can be divulged, whether weekly, bi-weekly, or whatever the case might be. So we have come this evening, Mrs. Hodge, because we feel it was necessary to start the discussion. Nothing is written in stone as yet. We're still going to have many more consultations, and we're going to have many more phases of this project, so that the general public will be informed and kept up to date at every step of the way. So what you're asking about, we are cognizant of that, and we intend to. But NASPA has been involved. The statistics department have been involved. Most, if not all, areas of government have been involved, because it's a government project.
Okay, thank you. And so just to clarify on the initial question that I asked with regards to the scope of work for this team and the deliverables, what stage are we in, and what are we expecting to see after the first stage? Well,
this phase that we're in is, as we term it, public consultation. We are dialoguing with the Nevis public because, of course, you would understand that there have been quite a period of time you've heard about the project, but persons have been asking what is involved. So we're now rolling out some of the ideas that we have put on paper. And, of course, as we go along, the next step, therefore, will be to have the necessary drawings and everything submitted to planning. Planning will do what they have to do. Thereafter, we are going to the next phase. Next phase will be discussed as we go along.
Thank you.
I have a quick follow-up. All right. There's a lot of talk about Embraer.
Embraer 175 or 170.
And it almost sounds as though the airport is being designed for that specific plane. The question I have is, how many airlines in the region actually fly them, have a fleet of them?
Well, in terms of in the region, you're talking in the sub-region or in the Caribbean. I don't know of any other than Sky, perhaps Sky Airways out of the Dominican Republic. But, well, she said, wait. He asked the region. From the international market, then, of course, American Airlines fly them. Delta fly those as well, too. The lady is correct that JetBlue fly them as well. And, of course, charter airlines that bring passengers to Four Seasons or to from any other source market do fly those planes. It's a very popular aircraft. And it's one that, when we look at the data, there have been increase in the demand or the purchase of those aircraft by many airlines out there. So we say the Embraer 175 because the reality is when you come to Newcastle, there are some realities you have to face. The space is just not there to do much more. And that being the case, we are seeking to at least ensure that every possible business jet can land and take off. And of course, you step up to the Embraer, which is what is being flown into Anguilla, what is being flown into the British Virgin Islands, what is being flown right now into Dominica. That aircraft is a popular aircraft, and it's one that the American Eagle is currently using, and one that we feel we can get that direct connection to either Miami or even Atlanta or even Charlotte in North Carolina. Not saying that every possible airline is going to come, but if there's the need for a charter of some sort to bring passengers in a similar type aircraft, we'll be able to accommodate them.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Kelvin Daly. Question. It seems as if we are in a field of dreams because we are building an airport hoping for something to happen without any definitive proof that it will happen. As Dr. Hodge indicated, we had the viability studies. We haven't seen it. But let's begin from the beginning. This is a project that I'm hearing is estimated to cost about $26 million about. Is that about right?
I don't know as yet. They haven't finalized their drawings.
Okay. But it's many millions. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned in your opening remarks that you would have invited Paris Consulting or Paris Engineering to take a look at this project. And as you know, that a project of this size, we exposes the people of Nevis to this level of debt, has to be tendered. How is it that Paris Consulting was able to attract such a lucrative tender without any competition? How do we know we're getting value for money? How is it we don't know that there was somebody else who was interested or who would be interested in contracting this type of consulting on this kind of project? I mean, we are going as if that, I don't want to make a political speech because it's not a political thing. But tendering never happened on a project of multi-million-dollar expense. And we all know that that should never have happened. So could you please explain to me, in 2015, when you contracted Paris, how did you arrive to this day without any process of tendering? Thank you very much.
Okay. You asked about tendering for the consultant or tendering for the construction?
Well, in the first instance, since we are stage one consultant, let's start there.
Okay, no problem. I said from my presentation that at least we are familiar with the work of Perez Consulting. We had, and I wouldn't divulge right now here at this point in time, other options that were available to us, which were more expensive, of course. That, in my opinion, is something that I would leave for now, but at least one has to give the NIA some credit and understand that we're here to manage the affairs of Nevis. And in managing the affairs of Nevis, there's some level of confidence that has to be placed in the administration. If Perez Construction have been associated with the construction of a major project in St. Vincent, and of course their reputation is there for all of us to examine, and of course, Leonardo, you'll make all of the construction you've done, all of the projects you've worked on. You can divulge that to the general public.
You want to know? Okay. Grenada, from long time before, when Bishop
Reagan had something to say about that?
in the, Venezuela too. Argyle International Airport, in Varadero 3 Airport, in Nicaragua too. I don't know, I don't come to explain this history, but if you want, we can do that. And in Romania, in Jamaica, in Toronto. Other one, I forgot. Jamaica.
We involved in 11 airports.
I involved in the construction
11 airports.
11 airports around the world. In Varadero, in Havana,
Cayo Coco.
in Cayo Coco. You want to know more? You want more?
The bottom line is some work and research was done to come up with this particular group after we would have examined others. And we are confident with the group that we have chosen and what their capabilities of delivering a quality project for us.
My name is Denzel Jones. I've worked in aviation for a little while. Well, yes, the authorities should be commended for this particular initiative. While I may not go back to what he said, I think quite necessarily there's need for some degree of feasibility study. Now, as there's a requirement for aerodrome certification, I have a question. Now, we couldn't really read the slides properly, but I observed the issue of declared distances, and reference was made to IQ Annex 14, Volume 1, in terms of the standards and recommended practices. The question is, there's a requirement for RISA, runway and safety area. Was that taken into account, given that presently there are standards and recommended practices, and one of the recommended practices, there's some move to make that a standard? So that's my first question. Now, an airport is a business, and at no time during the presentation, we heard anything definitive about revenue generation. Because far often we tend to do not focus on non-aeronautical activities. We rather raise landing fees, passenger facility charges. So I think we will need to hear, because building a new airport, expanding an airport estate, we learn from the mistakes of others. And yes, Nevis, with its size and the constraints, may not be in a position to compete with others. So it's very important to look at and determine certain niche activities. Mention was made of a flying school, but I think we would like to hear further. I mean, yes, the next step is to come up with a real design, but we love to hear. And Mr. Daly mentioned about tendering. Now, the whole idea is to make certain that we get in value for money. Yeah? And given, I heard a figure of 26 million, I don't know where it came from. But we have to all recognize that there's a need to improve the facility, the consular facility. But the question is whether or not the existing facility has been fully utilized as a given. And I don't want to sound facetious, but there's a tendency that we spend 20 million or whatever it is, and then we find ourselves, because we did not do adequate homework, we find ourselves with a white elephant. So I think we need to take these things into account, and we need to harness the resources of all technocrats, economists, accountants, the whole shebang, so that we have a project that can stand the test of time. Mm-hmm. Also, I heard it bandied about Hurricane Hill. Now, at one time, there was a suggestion that you do cotton fill. Former Minister Jeffers, you mentioned something about 10 million US, just to demolish it. But one of the options is to do cotton fill, because we are talking about lengthening the runway and all that. My final question has to do with the protection of the obstacle limitation services. The uninformed looks only at that paved area. So it's very important. I'm hoping, because remember, the airport has to be certificated or recertificated. So you must protect, and I don't want to sound pedantic. You have the runway, you have initially the strip, and all those dimensions are well established in Alec 40. And then you have the transitional surface. In a horizontal surface, you protect the takeoff and the landing areas. So I will need some answers.
Yeah. Okay. Sure enough. Sure. Okay. With respect to the RESA, of course there'll be a RESA at the eastern end of the runway. There'll be none at the western end, but there'll be one at the eastern end. In terms of the revenue generation side of it, I did say from the get-go that this is the start of a series of town hall meetings. And everything can't be covered in one meeting, because we intend to go around the island and have meetings with stakeholders and the likes. Yeah? So in terms of revenue generation, all that would form part of our discussions and dialogue moving forward. To come up with the aircraft that we intend to accommodate and what we envisage down the road, some preliminary numbers would have been looked at, but of course, I'm not going to get into that at this point in time. But we do have some ideas as to what can be the revenue stream over the next 10 years and beyond, for example. That we'll discuss in subsequent meeting. In terms of fully utilizing the current airport that is there, we expanded that airport back in the late 1990s and then a terminal was constructed somewhere around 2002, 2003, to accommodate the ATR 72 that was coming out of Puerto Rico. That aircraft don't come out of Puerto Rico anymore. That was the American Eagle. The mode of transport and travel these days have changed tremendously over the years. The ATR aircraft is still being used regionally, but in terms of an American Airlines, which is the major aircraft that comes into our airline that come into the Federation, they don't use those turboprops anymore. So the Puerto Rico market is not one that is being utilized by our citizens or residents, or even most of the guests who come into the island of Nevis, just a few. So the utilization of it was good between 2003 thereabout until somewhere around 2007, 2008. Those who are in the hotel industry would recall that we had a significant drop-off at that time. Since then, the airport have struggled, and it cannot get any more activities there with the current aircrafts that are coming. Right now, we have a Cape Air that flies in and out of there to St. Thomas, carrying 9 passengers. Not a whole lot of people or persons are interested in flying in that type of aircraft. Some do, but not a large amount. So you look at what people have a preference for. They have a preference for the jet type, the wide body type. And that is what will drive an airport or any airport in the region. You would realize that is what they're going towards. Someone did mention earlier regarding us building an airport and not knowing what is to come. We have some infrastructure here in Nevis, for example, Four Seasons, and some smaller hotels. I am here to say that I am convinced that with an improved facility, I do believe that investment will be attracted that way. Now, for example, here's my take. Someone interested in constructing a new hotel, the first thing they'll want to figure out is, how would I get my guests to Nevis? How? What means? Then they're told you have to go to St. Kitts, or you have to go to Antigua, or you have to get them into St. Martin and then Nevis. People are traveling point to point these days. You know about the hub and spokes type of thing that was so big before. Maybe it exists in America still, but in the Caribbean. And coming to the Caribbean, most people want to get there. You leave New York, you want to get to St. Kitts, if that's your destination. You leave Miami, you want to get to St. Kitts. Well, we are saying we want our guests to leave Miami and come to Nevis, because here's where they're intended to come. And I am certain I can tell you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that persons have refused to come because they're told you have to go to point C, to point D, to get to point B. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that for some persons, but the majority of persons are seeking to come to point B from point A. And if we're not thinking along those lines, and if we're not seeking to accomplish that, I believe the development that we're seeking here on the island of Nevis, we are a long way away from that if we're not seeking to do that. So point A to point B is what persons are seeking to accomplish, and that is why we're saying all of the private jets or business jets that go elsewhere and passengers are ferried to Nevis, I think Nevis should be getting its own facility to attract these persons here directly to Nevis, or else we're not seeking to push Nevis any further. So in terms of what we're hoping to accomplish, I do believe we're on the right track in that regard.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
My name is Wayne Maynard. My question is, what is the anticipated source of funds for this project? I think reference has been made in the past to public-private partnerships. I haven't heard anything in reference. I don't know if it's too early, but I'm just curious as to the source of funds given our limited capital. And also I heard reference in the presentation to it being a limited budget. So I'm curious as to the source of funds for this project. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Pastor. Yes, we have spoken about private-public partnership in the past. We are also seeking to access additional financing. There are multiple areas where we are seeking, and pardon me if I cannot just call names or mention agents or sources or countries, but those will be a part of future discussions, yeah? But we are seeking to access funding from whomever at the right, as we say, quote unquote, at the right price. And when I say price, interest rate and so forth comes into play. But we are seeking to access financing where and however it is possible. We have heard some discussions about $28 million and persons' names have been called. I'm not prepared to do that this evening because we haven't signed an agreement to finance the airport with anyone. I can safely say that. If there's a MOU existing, you and I and all of us know a memorandum of understanding has in the requirements or set out the pathway towards an agreement. So MOU doesn't necessarily turn into an agreement, and all of us know that. But at least it gives you some parameters. And if we want to go that route, we go that route. If we want to go other route, we'll go other route, but we'll seek out all possible options. I know the presentation was so long, but we'll go another five minutes there, about 5-10 minutes, and then, because we'll have multiple town hall meetings where we can answer many more questions, yeah.
Yes, good night, everyone. My name is Quincy Bach. I am with the Department of Agriculture, Planned Quarantine, and I'd like to make some recommendations. The expansion of the airport is a very good one. We've seen increase in tourism and small business. However, with these new developments can pose certain risks to plant health and animal health. The role of planned quarantine is to protect the borders, air, seaport, and postal from pests and diseases. Passenger luggage is one of the highest risks of pests and diseases entering the country. I would like to state some recommendations that we would like to see at the airport to better protect our borders. Disinfectant mats to be placed on the runway when passengers come off, they're able to place their feet and disinfect them to reduce the risk of pest and disease. X-ray, smart X-rays that are placed on the corridor of the passengers that scans them for any plant material and animal products. Also, a planned quarantine office needs to be at the airport that planned quarantine officers can be there to inspect certain plant products. Also, inspection tables with adequate lights for us to make sure that we spot everything correctly. Also, isolation rooms in the case of an event that we have to monitor something a little more closely. We have a specific room that is isolated. Also, an incinerator. In the case of the event of we confiscate something and that needs to be destroyed, an incinerator needs to be in place. Also, display areas to let incoming passengers the importance of the pests and diseases. So once they see it, they will be able to dispose of any things that are not supposed to be on the island in the storage bins. So I would like to drive home the points of the recommendations. But let us all imagine, 10 years from now, the airport is booming, everything is going good. Passenger A, coming from a foreign country, he lands here in Nevis, and he has some apples. These apples are infested with fruit flies. These fruit flies enter the ecosystems and affect host plants such as our mangoes and our guavas. These invasive species then comes and do damage to our economy, and it causes mishaps. So please let us take these recommendations in place. And I just leave to you a quote from Benjamin Franklin: "An ounce of cure is worth a pound of an ounce of prevention is for cure." Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Quincy. And if you would just let me have sight of those at some point, right? But I also said to you, as an agriculturist, you forgot about animal health.
Yes, animal health as well.
Okay. So we'll
Both
take
plant
that.
and animal
We'll
health.
take that. We'll take that accordingly.
Yes,
Okay.
and I would like to, in the future, must have a stakeholder meetings with these technicians who will be working on the airport on a regular basis, because we have certain views and recommendations
Sure.
that we would want to
Sure.
express. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Thanks. Okay.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I'm Carlisle Powell, and I spent a year or two at the Vance W Airport.
Long time.
A long time.
No,
Just a couple of questions, an observation and then a couple of questions. I heard the presenter next to you say that one of the aims was to have cosmetic change, make the thing look good. Well, the air traffic control tower does not and should not fall under that realm. The equipment in that tower, to the best of my knowledge, some of it was procured in 2000, 2001. So I believe you need wholesale change. You need modern equipment in the control tower. So to make the exterior look good and the equipment is not functioning would be a waste of time. Complete and total waste of time. But Brian Dyer is here. He's better versed in that area than me.
If I may say, you are at the airport, you know that the runway lighting is controlled from the tower.
Correct. And all the runway lighting should go as well.
The runway lighting is going to go, and it will be updated as well in the tower.
The only thing you should keep in the control tower is the building. Everything else should be replaced.
Okay.
Okay. Having said that, you said that you have been in this business on this project since 2015. We have a number of very experienced people in Nevis. Mm-hmm. My senior is Denzel Jones. Mm-hmm. He has been in the business longer than me. You have Brian Dyer, who was a senior air traffic controller. In the audience, I noticed that you have two gentlemen, Zenrick Hanley and Elroy Hendrickson, who work at Crash Fire. Mm-hmm. Do you intend at any point in time to consult with these very experienced people in Nevis so that you could get input from them?
Oh,
and so that you can help to improve the project?
Absolutely. That is the intention. Like I said, tonight was just a rollout, and then we're moving on to further consultations.
But you're doing it for 8 years. When are you going to talk to them?
No, well, let's put it this way, Powell. 8 years, yes, with stop and start. Especially in 2020 and 2021, there was nothing done at all with respect to this project, based on the fact that we were going through the COVID-19 situation. But of course, the discussion started with them then, and we've been stopping and starting. They would attest to that.
Okay, I'm soon done. Just a couple more questions. When is the envisioned start date? Even if you don't have the funds in place yet, we've been going at this for 8 years. Can you say that we are going to be ready to start in the next 5 or in the next 8 years?
Well, if I were to be a guessing man, I'll say I wish we start next year, by the middle of next year.
Yeah, but project something for us.
Well, no, the Premier is there. He might be able to project it.
But you are presenting. You should have asked the Premier before you go up there. But okay, leave that alone.
No, I present and then consult. I consult and then present.
So we're doing a project, but we don't.
Then consult, then present. So we are on the right track.
Mr. Jeffers, you are making it as difficult as listening and watching the presentation earlier. No. You were saying to us that I came here looking for technical details. I couldn't read a single thing on the board. I couldn't understand what the gentleman was saying.
You'll have access
and you are saying that there is no clarity as to start date?
You have access to it.
So I can't ask you how much the project will cost then, because you do.
Not at this time.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. I believe we have we started around 6:15, so we're just about 2 hours into this. So I can say that we are just about to wrap up, and I believe that's the end of the question section of it. I want to end with apologizing once again for the difficulties that we had this evening. And it's simply because, not simply, because persons being ill is not a simple reason for not being here. I honestly would have loved for Dan Castle to be here. He's the one who has been most fluent and most equipped when it comes to this project. That being said, we're hoping on the next go-around that we'll be able to roll out in the next meeting in such a way where everyone, if you were to come again, you'll be able to follow accordingly. As I mentioned before, I will dialogue with the Premier and the Cabinet to see in what fashion and when can we make the presentation available. It is no secret at all. So the entire Nevision public will have access to it so that you can read it and you can have comments accordingly. But I want to thank you for coming. There's a reason why you came, because you're interested in hearing what we had to offer this evening. The difficulty is that, of course, the challenge with the language barrier. But that being said, there is no doubt that we have a pathway that we want to pursue, and that is the renovation, reconstruction, and expansion of the Vance W International Airport. So over the next couple of weeks, couple of months, we will hear more, we will dialogue more, and of course, it is all meant to produce a project in the end that we'll all be proud of. That being said, thank you for coming. See you at the next town hall meeting. Get home safely, and I certainly appreciate your presence this evening. Have a wonderful evening.